In section 7.2, we're going to look at confidence intervals where we do not know the population standard deviation and our sample size is smaller than 30. So remember, in order to use our z-interval in section 7.1, we need to know our population standard deviation, or sigma. So I tell some students z-interval sounds like even though it doesn't start with a z, sigma, z sigma. You have to know that this means population standard deviation. Okay? Or using the central limit theorem, we'd have to have a sample size larger than 30. Okay? So if we don't have those two things, we're going to use what's called a t-interval. And it's a student t-distribution. Students' t-distribution, as you saw in the lecture videos, are very similar to the standard normal distribution, and then they're bell-shaped and symmetrical. Their tails are fatter, so it takes a little bit further to approach the axes, but that was in the lecture video. So for example, let's look at number 14 in section 7.2. How much does a sleeping bag cost? Let's say you want a sleeping bag that should keep you warm in temperatures from 20 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. A random sample of sleeping bag prices of sleeping bags in this temperature range was taken from Backpacker magazine, including brand names such as American Camper, Cabela's, Camp 7, Caribou, Cascade, and Coleman. Part A tells us to use a calculator with a mean and standard deviation keys to verify the sample mean and sample standard deviation. Okay, we're going to skip ahead to Part B because when we do Part B on our calculator, it will also give us the numbers in Part A so that we can verify it. It says, using the given data as representative population prices of all summer sleeping bags, finding 90% confidence interval. So you know you're finding a confidence interval for the mean price of all sleeping bags. In this problem, we don't know sigma. Our sample size is only 20, so we need to use our t-interval. All right, so because it gives us data, we're going to go ahead and put that in our calculator. So remember, to put data in your calculator, we do our favorite button, Stat, and to type anything in, we go to Edit. Now I'm going to clear out my list here. Remember, to clear the list, go up to the top, hit Clear, and then Enter. And let's type in those 20 values. So we have 80, Enter, 90, Enter, 100, Enter, 120, Enter, 75, Enter, 37, Enter, 30, Enter, 23, Enter, 100, Enter, 110, Enter, 105, Enter, 95, Enter, 105, Enter, 60, Enter, 110, Enter, 120, Enter, 95, Enter, 90, Enter, 60, Enter. Okay? Everybody got it in their calculator? And once we have it in our calculator, we do second quit to go back to our home screen here. All right. So the same place I went for z-interval, I go to Stat, over to Tests. Remember, z-interval was number 7. So we're going to arrow down to the one right below z-interval. You will see it say t-interval. Okay, this time, since I don't have the stats, Part A is just asking me to verify it. I have the data, so I'm going to hit Enter when it's over Data. It's going to ask me to select the list, and I put it in L1. The frequency always stays the same. Don't ever change that. Just stays 1. Just means how many times each data value occurs. And this one had asked us for a 90% confidence interval, so I keep that at 0.9. And I go ahead and hit Calculate. Okay, so we can see in Part A, the problem had asked us to verify that X bar was 83.75, which we were good there, and that the standard deviation was 28.97. Approximately, because we rounded to 2 decimal places. And it looks like I'm good there on my calculator. So do you see how it gives you the interval as well as those two things? So that helps you to answer Part A, where it asks you to verify the mean and standard deviation. Part B asks for the confidence interval. So remember, I'm going to put my mu in the middle because that's what I'm estimating. And then my values on the end, 72.55 and 94.95. Now some instructors will ask you to show this as a probability statement, like this. What I expect you to do is just have it as an interval like this. If you want to show it as a probability statement like that, that's okay. But I do require you to put mu in the middle. If you just write it like this with a comma, I will count it incorrect. So make sure you're showing me you're estimating mu. Okay? So when we interpret this, we say we are 90% confident that the population mean, and then we have to say what it is. We have to go back to our problem where it had asked us to calculate that confidence interval. What were we calculating of? The mean price of all summer sleeping bags. So we are 90% confident that the population mean price of all summer sleeping bags, remember that just comes from the question, is between, and it's here in our interpretation that we have to put our units. What are these units? They're dollars. So $72.55 and $94.95. Okay, and this was actually part B and C of this problem.